Okay, hello everyone. My name is Ruben Vasiliev and I'm the community manager for Harbor. Today is November 30th and that's the official meeting for Harbor project. So please follow the code of conduct and just be nice to each other. I have issues with my camera today, so I'm sorry for that. Cannot share my video, but I'm gonna share my screen if you have added any topics for today. I'm also gonna paste that link into the chat so everyone can add themselves there and add your topics if you have any for today.
You need to hit refresh.
Yep, give me a sec. I was pasting it into the chat, so yeah. All right. Okay, so yeah, someone added something about the community process for feedback, and I think that's you, Vadim, I suppose. Or, yeah. Is that the issue that we opened the last time?
This is the issue we discussed on Monday.
Yep.
Well, the issue is that the topic that we discussed on Monday, we wanted to bring it up here.
Yeah, I was going to add that into the feedback. Is it feedback? How we? Oh, okay. Alter. Yeah. So we're discussing this one in particular. So the idea is to introduce a new label for issues and PRs, and primarily PRs across all repositories. So we can have like a tracking which PR is waiting for community feedback or kind of voting on some features or new implementations or whatever, practically. So the idea was to figure out which one sounds the best in terms of the idea behind the label is to make sure that the message is right. So we need that feedback from the community. So it should be like asking them to ask, to act, and not to be so much of a, yeah, if you can take a look and to just to be hanging there. So it's more, the idea behind this is to give the message that we need them to act on this one and to provide the feedback. So either we can discuss it now, or I think it's good if we can discuss it now and to have it like into the issue itself. I'm gonna paste that issue into the channel, the chat as well.
Oh, and also into the wiki, if you want to.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this since our discussion on Monday, and I was, stepped back or did one step back and thought about, okay, how we get feedback from the community, or how we accept PRs in Harbor from the community based on what criteria. So the current suggestion is to do it based on voting or suggestion if it is desired from the community, and then we edit or accept it or not. This is one option how to do it. This is the current option we trying to implement currently. And I was thinking about another option, which is more, was it principle based? So if we would have, if we have a direction in Harbor where Harbor is moving to, what does Harbor support functionality wise? So then, depending on these principles and criteria, every contribution that fits into this criteria is automatically accepted. So we don't have to ask the feedback from the user, because the desire needs to be there if someone takes an effort and invest a lot of time, weeks, maybe even months to create a PR, because, for us, it's maybe a few days, to coding but for someone who is new to Harbor, it's like 10 times more time, to implement something. So someone has a really, really big need to implement it and make it PR. And I think if we can base our assumption about what is needed in Harbor or not based on the principles that we have, then we don't have even to ask the community if they accept it or not. So, for example, if we say we support the top 4 cloud providers, like we want to make sure that Harbor is running on the top 4 cloud providers. And if someone is suggesting, extensions or Helm chart updates that involve Azure, this is in line with our principles that we want to support it, then it's clear that we should accept this PR. Same goes if I say in a hypothetical way, we shouldn't do it, but in a hypothetical way, we want to say that we would like to move Harbor as a general purpose artifact repository. And then it's totally fine if someone accepts, proposes a PR and we accept it that supports Maven, so you get the picture what I mean here. And if we would have this principle, or if we would communicate and make those principles public, and I think we have a common understanding in the community where we want to see Harbor in the future and where we want to position it. But if we would write it down and make it explicit, then we wouldn't have to ask the community if we should accept this PR or not, because then it was clear, does it fit in our principles, in our strategy? If yes, then it's in. If not, then not, And so this is I'd say a suggestion how we can see this thing as well, because I think getting the involvement from the community, getting a decent voting from the community would be a bit difficult, and then we need to decide at what stage do we accept a vote. Should it be 3 votes or should it be 30 votes? And we need to discuss these topics then as well.
Yeah, but
okay. So my take on my idea, what I was thinking about the other day when it came to this topic.
yeah, but I think the general discussion on Monday that we had was there are some PRs that can be extended by the community and their particular use case, and it's not about accepting it or not. It was more to provide more information on the use case so we can make it better.
Okay, so it's maybe getting feedback from the community in terms of testing and seeing if this PR fulfills their need. All right.
Exactly, and I think the case was with the operator and the ingress thing, and at that time I think we tried to ask the community, hey, is there anyone else using this one or needs this one, and how we can make it like more inclusive for broader use case. So maybe wording is not right then, or
maybe my understanding was not correct and I was or made wrong assumptions. Yeah.
And for me, that label for PRs is in particular to be able to select the PRs that needs more attention from broader audience in terms of usage. Let's put it this way. Because in the end of the day, the main core maintenance team is taking the decision for specific features and PRs if they should be accepted or not, right? So it's like a semi-democracy. It's not like complete freedom. It's more like voting and democracy in terms of maintainers. That's how I understand the process. Yeah.
So what is the difference then? Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. So this is and to the content now, what is the difference between the community feedback required and requires community input? To me, these 2 things seem to be similar.
Yeah, yeah. I think it only ends up on wording.
Is it one? Should we choose one of those 3, or
yes.
is it like okay? Okay, yeah.
And for me, that thing if we want to use it and to say the community, hey, that's the process that we want to ask you for your feedback on something, or to share something with us, that should be like easy to swallow kind of words. So it's should, I don't know how to put it right, but it's like super welcoming, and actually but on the other hand, to be like, yeah, we definitely need your input here, so please do that. So it's my question was more on wording than actually usage, but yeah, it's great that you brought that topic up. Okay, who else we have? Are the others sharing some thoughts on this one?
I made my vote.
Yeah.
So, is there any for this topic? I mean, we should definitely set a timeline for voting.
Jan one, can you fix your mic, please? I can hear you super bad.
I mean that do you have to set a deadline for this?
No deadline, but I think it's
I mean, yeah.
but
Okay.
I think is as fast as we can have it, we can start using it, which will bring more which can bring more input. And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a rush, but I mean, we have
I'm fine.
yeah, I mean, we have some PRs that needs attention from the more broader.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's SAP is good deadline, but yeah, it's not like Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, I would personally say anything that says requires first, like the first word is requires, is usually good, because then it kind of puts the focus on that something's required to do. And so requires community input might be, in my opinion, the best one, because it stresses that something's intended to be done.
It's more direct, yeah.
Yeah. So, Marcel, can you vote, please? If
Yeah,
that's
I
okay
will do so.
Yeah. And that's like that particular voting for that issue is the exact example why I need such kind of approach, I'll say. And then the next thing, yeah, right, defining the label is just super simple, right? But then we have to work with the community to educate them to follow that mindset. Like, yeah, like we can do some kind of automation or something that to send to the mailing list or whatever a list of issues or PRs that are labeled like this. So we can nurture that kind of practice towards the community, and to say, yeah, just keep in mind this one. But that's like the next step. Let's not focus on this one right now. Okay. So I really count on everyone else on this call that we have to vote on this one, so we can have like at least a good number of votes. Otherwise, it's like 2-3 votes representing a huge community as ours. It's just not representative enough. So I think that voting can stay for a while. So I'll try to emphasize that a few more times on different channels. So yeah. Okay. Updates. 2.7 release updates. Someone wants to update us on this one? I don't have a name there.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to add my name. For the 2.7, that is what we are working on right now. So currently we have already reached to the FC stage, and we finished all the Anchor features implementation. And so right now we are doing the first round table testing and bug fix. Hopefully we can have the RC1 build in the next week, and the planned GA date for the 2007 is by the end of December. So this is the 2007 releases. For the next minor release, that is 2.8, we are in the planning phase. So I would greatly appreciate that you can give us some feedback and feature requirements for the next minor release 2.8.
Can you add the date
So,
because I didn't get it for 2.7? What's the
okay,
GA date?
Let me add the date. Sorry, wait a minute.
And because I heard something December, but I didn't get the exact date. Sorry for that.
Okay, sure.
I have a question to Marcel. Were your discussion topics addressed last time? I'm sorry, I had to leave in the middle.
Yeah, kind of. We kind of talked about that Harbor operator has some maintainers which are active. The only thing is that wasn't really answered is if there are plans or if anyone has heard of this other than us so far to manage the Harbor configuration itself through the operator. So we now wrote a custom operator for now, which basically does calls to the Harbor API to configure projects and replication strategies and so on.
Maybe we should have a chat together. I didn't see the video yet from last time. I will take a look afterwards. But we're currently working on an operator with some other people as well. Also with what the guy's called. So with the other guys who wrote also an operator. So I think I would like to get some not contributions, but some consolidation in this space, because there are actually quite a few operators there out there already, and I think it would make sense to have a consolidation there, or getting people on board, because we have quite a few resources there already that working on operators in parallel. They do the same thing, right? So I think it makes sense to bring the community together here, and I'm working on that. Maybe we should sync on that one or the other day, and I can tell you where we currently stand and what's the idea behind it there. And I would like to the next community meeting, I'm going to do a presentation about that.
Yeah, you're on Slack. I can message you. Are you just Vadim in the cloud?
Exactly.
CNCF Slack. Okay.
And Marcel, just to reiterate once more on this one, you're developing that, and are you planning to contribute that, or?
So right now we are creating it open source completely, and we're planning to contribute it at some point. Right now, because we had problems with getting things merged upstream, we just created our own open source repo. All the code is already open source. I'm fine with contributing it. It's just a cube builder operator. But that also is like another point. We had some problems getting things merged in Harbor operator because it took us quite a while to get attention to our PRs. And then whenever we want to run something, like none of us can run the CI. So we always have to wait like a day for someone else to run the CI.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
That's really painful right now. So
I'll be more than happy to
maybe we can
in that effort, like to be officially part of the maintenance, if you really like investing time.
Yeah,
which would
so we
yeah,
have
so- Mhm.
we have a 6 month project with some teams right now that are working on Harbor, and we will continue working on Harbor afterwards. So if I
Mhm.
can be added to the maintainers, it would be perfect, because then I can at least approve the builds, and I won't merge anything, obviously, but then at least we can iterate a bit faster.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
And we
then
should
go ahead.
also leverage or allow contributors to trigger builds on the CI. Should not be only for maintainers. Should not everyone do it, but only if you open up a PR, you should be able to trigger
So
a build.
most projects don't allow that. Also in
know.
the Kubernetes 6 don't allow that, because then you run the risk of someone taking compute from
Yep.
you by just opening pull requests and running their tests for no reason.
But I mean, is it for? I mean, I'm not talking about everyone able, just
Yeah.
the contributors.
Yeah, most projects still don't allow it, as far
Okay.
as I know. You have to
Yeah,
be
because-
either an approver or like a maintainer in most.
Okay. Yeah, because
Kubernetes
I mean,
6
we don't
projects.
have so many. I mean, we're not Kubernetes, so there's not so many PRs going on, right? So
Yeah.
it's just I would say a handful. And yeah, maybe we can take a look at this all in. That
Yeah, and I
if
was
someone
going
does
to
a PR, he should be able to, in my opinion, if it's getting out of hand, then we could change it, you know. But
Yeah, but yeah, I can share a good article. I think it was from GitHub, one of the authors of this one. How much money have been spent on compute with the same issue that Marcel was just discussing, that like malicious code is added and the PR runs and they do crypto mining and stuff, and yeah, that easily can get out of hand. And that's the reason why normally projects are not allowing this stuff.
okay,
But of course, when we speak in long term, like relation with the project and maintaining and everything, that shouldn't be on the table for doubts. I think.
yeah,
I can talk. Normally, Jan, correct me, but Steven Zhu is the one that's normally running this kind of effort.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get in touch and see how we can drive this through.
But actually, he's not working on operator. I mean, harbor this project. Yeah, I actually I had a meeting with the engineers in the operator maintainer group last week, and they may not take much effort to help us to maintain the operator. So the decision is that I and Chen will spend some time in future to contribute to the harbor operator to help them to review PR, fix bug, upgrade the operator to align with the harbor OSS. So the current situation is we are working on Harborator to support Harbor 2.6, and we have already raised the PR, and we are now reviewing this PR, and yeah, but with limited resource. So I mean, we are mainly working on the Harbor OSS, but for the Harbor operator, we cannot guarantee the we have enough time to respond any PR or issues on time. So that's why you see that we do not sometimes to accept run your PR in CI.
Yeah, and by we, do you mean VMware in particular, or?
Oh no, I mean the maintainers who are working on the operator.
Yeah.
You can we have a maintainer list in operator repository.
Yeah,
can
I
you
think I'm
open
sharing
that?
this one right now.
Yeah, you can open. Yes. Yeah, we had a meeting last week. Part of them, not just the women. We do have Qihoo, Shopee, and that is women.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last one.
Yeah.
You're fading away. I didn't get the last one.
Oh,
right after the meeting thing. But
I mean the. Yeah.
let's make it like this. I'm super happy to nominate Marcel for maintainer. And let's vote on this one.
Yeah.
We definitely need more folks on that effort, and I think that Marcel and John Swarm in general will be super helpful with this one.
Yeah, and we're right now in a phase where we want to spend a lot of time on this, and we also want to spend some time on what we discussed previously, an operator that also manages the Harbor front end. And if we can more easily integrate that in Harbor operator instead of creating like a separate operator project, then I'm also happy.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I don't want to lose that momentum that you have. So yeah. Okay, cool.
I'm also working on a concept here to get some consolidation in this space, because there are like the Terraform provider, there are some other providers, and I would like to consolidate it. And I see there's a big demand here, and I think we should, and there's other people working on it. I know it. We should kind of consolidate it and work into the same direction, so we can leverage the resources we have and create a better solution for everyone.
Works for me.
And Marcel, one last question. Are you trying to like work something like a GitOps kind of thing?
Yes. So the problem we have is our entire deployment is GitOps based. So we want to manage Harbor with GitOps as well, meaning the first use case is to use Harbor as a registry cache. And for that, we need to deploy and configure Harbor through GitOps. We can deploy it through GitOps with the operator already, but managing and setting up whichever application strategy we want is not possible through GitOps right now. And we would run it on like 60 plus clusters. We don't want to do that manually.
Yeah, gotcha. Right. Fantastic use case. Okay. For operator, that's the thing. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
I'm gonna open a PR for this one to nominate you.
Just ping me on Slack if you need anything from me.
Yeah, I'll do that. All right. Let's. Okay. Vadim, I'm also there, almost there with the container edge registry. Just one thing to for the GA. Are we sure releasing right before Christmas is the best time to release?
We decided to do it before Christmas because since we should have 3 releases per year, so this is the planned date before Christmas. Yeah, if we decide to move it to post Christmas, it will be in another year. But we want to have 3 big releases into 2022. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that, but my thing is releasing just before Christmas is having 2 issues for me. First one, if we introduce something that we don't know yet that is going to break, most of the team will be off during Christmas holidays. And second thing, releasing just before such a huge holiday as Christmas worldwide, it's is lowering the attention on the release, which is not necessarily bad, but it's not good in general for any release stuff.
Oh yeah, I understand, but I'm happy to postpone this date, but we should discuss with our PR, right?
Yeah, we can influence it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask, what are the other parties involved in this case? I'm asking Vadim and Marcel. What do you think about this one?
I'm actually not so against it. I mean, it's okay. I mean, we can start with the RC, RC2 or RC1 by that day, and then just flip the switch on the 3rd or 4th of January with a new release. We can do the same, or we can release before Christmas. I mean, it's a nice Christmas present. If you want to run Harbor in production, you would not just blindly upgrade, right? So you would test before that, and then you can test and see if there are potential issues. I wouldn't. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Okay, cool. I'm just asking. I'm just sharing my thoughts.
And
okay.
And we can have an announcement afterwards. So we can still do the announcement on January.
Yeah, I would also say releasing it is fine before Christmas, but announcement should be in January, because otherwise you won't get community feedback over Christmas, most likely.
Exactly.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Right. Vadim, presentation, Harbor satellite. I'm gonna start sharing.
All right. Okay, good. Let me show this. Yep, here it is. You should see it, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so what is Harbor satellite? The satellite concept has been discussed in Harbor for quite some time, and we are now at the stage where we would like to implement it. We've been discussing this concept with a few customers before, and we think very strongly that there is a need for the solution. So what is Harbor satellite? Harbor satellite is a container registry that's running on the edge. Specifically, the container registry is running on the edge cluster itself. It's a registry that is stripped down. It has no UI. It has no permanent connectivity, and it's designed to be run and operated in remote clusters, remote Kubernetes cluster that maybe don't have permanent connectivity, that don't have a high bandwidth connectivity. And the use cases for this is providing high availability, not in the classical sense of the registry being high available or globally distributed, by providing high availability in the sense that if there's a connection loss, or in case if the master is or a main, or I call it ground control, is down, images can still be pulled. The other use case is global image distribution. So you would distribute your images around the globe in all your edge cluster, and then you would flip a switch and all image applications will be updated immediately and without a delay. So you would not stress your main infrastructure with image pulls. And this is sometimes very important if you want to update all your application around the globe at the same time. So now how does it work and how does it look like? So we have, created this concept which called satellite and ground control. Satellite is out in space, flying around the globe, and the ground control is the thing that controls it, and it gets commands, or it sends commands, it receives data. And the same concept we would like to apply with Harbor. So we would like to extend Harbor with a new API and new functionality, which is called ground control. And ground control is by itself just managing the satellites. The things like image replications or copying images from main harbor to the satellite is done via the existing mechanisms in harbor. So we have already the tools to do, pull-based image replication or push-based image replication to satellites. And as you can see, we have in harbor a new functionality, which is ground control, and ground control is a receiving entity. So it receives API calls, a connectivity. So like you can register a satellite to ground control. You can send data that you would like to replicate, or you can request data. You can fetch data that will be replicated. You can fetch permissions and things like this. So ground control is basically providing the connectivity or the data and information to the satellite. So this means that you need to have a main instance in order to control your satellite. There is no option that you can control your satellite from within your cluster. So the control is always happening via harbor main or ground control, because there is no option to configure the satellite if it's deployed. Only happening, the only configuration option that you have in satellite is providing the URL and maybe connectivity secrets to ground control. So how does satellite look like? Satellite is we really specifically or have Kubernetes first approach. Or why is it changing? We have a Kubernetes first approach, meaning that we design satellite primarily for Kubernetes. It might be running as a binary itself outside of Kubernetes, but this is not our primary goal. Primary goal is having a satellite image. So it's basically one application. It's a one binary that contains the core. So I call it core because it's analogous to harbor core. It's not the same thing as the harbor core, but has quite a few similarities. Maybe we can copy a few things over, maybe not. I don't know. Then we have the registry. The registry is, we either take the registry, the Docker distribution that is there, or we select another one. It's currently in discussion which registry we're going to choose. It's not yet decided. So then we will package it all in one binary. It will contain an SQLite. So SQLite because it's light and we don't have to store that many data. And the only requirement that Harbor Satellite has is a persistent volume where images are stored and the database is stored. So this is the only requirement that we have on the satellite core. Satellite core has also the admission controller. It's an optional feature that you can enable or disable in your cluster. And the admission controller does the following. So if you want, like, the use case is the following. So if you would like to deploy your application on the edge, you don't want to, or the developer should not be thinking about, all right, which registry should I do in this deployment? So what the developer does is just deploys the application to cluster A as to cluster B as to cluster C in the same way, so that he has the same URL inside the cluster, inside the same URL or same image reference that he would, do on the cloud. And the admission controller does a rewrite of the registry. So it basically rewrites the pod spec and redirects or changes the pod spec, so it will not point to an external registry, but it will always point to the satellite. And you can configure how this rewrite should happen. Should it rewrite all pod specs to satellite core? So like if you have a proxy and things like this, it will kick in. Or if you want to just rewrite the registry, your own registry and nothing else. So you just, if someone is pulling from Docker Hub, it will still work, or using Docker Hub as a reference, it will still work. So the admission controller is capable of doing a rewrite and is doing the rewrite for the pod spec, so that the user or developer who deploys an application to edge doesn't have to deal with Harbor Satellite in any way. So it's transparent and automatically rewrite. So you create rules, or you can deploy rules from control to the satellite. This is happening in via ground control, or maybe you don't have any rules at all. You don't have the option to control that much rules. Just enable admission controller, yes or no. And the admission controller is the one who is, listening to events from the Kubernetes API, and then knows if something is deployed to the cluster, and then can rewrite it. So this is the basic concepts that we try to implement. So our request from the community is feedback. We would like to have feedback from the community about the use cases, about their scenarios, that we can think and incorporate them into the design and development. We're of course interested in community contributions in form of implementation and code contributions, reviews, testing, and so on. And from the Harbor maintainers, we would like to get feedback regarding the feasibility. So which components can we reuse, what things can we reuse, and what can we swap out? And basically also the review from the community, from the maintainers as well. Our timeline is we would like to have an approval before 2.8. So before 2.8 goes out, we would like to have approval from the community, and so that we can start already with the implementation the next quarter, end of next quarter. And public availability will be a quarter after, or a half year after. So it will be so if we start in Q1, in Q3 it should be there, ideally. What is in scope? I didn't write what's not in scope. Yeah, so this is basically the concept we would like to work on, and we would like, I'm presenting the concept here. Before, the next step will be proposing as in the community as a PR. Any questions?
I have I have a couple of questions. The first question is that do you want to leverage Harbor to deploy the satellite Kubernetes cluster in the edge set?
No.
No. So you just want to use Harbor to serve contents in the cluster, not for the deployment, right?
Exactly. So the satellite does not care about Kubernetes deployment of Kubernetes itself. It's just a component inside the Kubernetes cluster that will act as a local registry in cluster registry.
Okay, so in other words, the Harbor satellite instance does not serve any Kubernetes bootstrap images, right?
No.
Okay.
I think it would be very difficult to accomplish inside Kubernetes cluster.
So yes, there should be a chicken and egg problem.
Exactly.
The second question is that per my understanding, the ground control should be in the front of Harbor instance, rather than inside the Harbor. I mean.
You mean not?
Yes. So let me give you an example. If you want to run a Harbor instance in cloud to serve thousands of edge clusters, so that means you probably have to handling concurrency pull requests from edge to from cloud to edge. So the ground control should be in front of Harbor to control the network traffic for Harbor. It can pending all the pooling request and decide how many
No,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, I got it. But not, in addition, ground control is not responsible for image transfer. So images are not transferred via ground control. The images are transferred via normal flow that is already there, like replication. So we want to build upon the existing features of Harbor, so that like replication and is used to distribute images to satellites, and ground control is just accepting commands and sends data to the satellite. So the scaling here should be similar to Harbor Core, and the scaling scenario should be similar to Harbor Core. But I'm open to it, so I'm not dogmatic to say it has to be a component it has to be some part of Harbor, or it can be its own implementation. Both options are fine. I was just thinking having it inside Harbor would ease a few things.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry, I have another question. As for the registration, what do you mean for that? You mean that okay, yeah.
Yeah. So when you deploy a satellite, the satellite needs to connect to ground control, and this connectivity process or onboarding process of a satellite needs to happen somehow. And you need to provide a URL to your ground control, and you need to provide an secret or onboarding secret or something, so that the satellite can register itself into ground control, and then you can see all your satellites in Harbor, and then control those satellites. So this is the onboarding flow.
Oh, okay, got it. And as for the Harbor instance in the edge side, is it a tiny Harbor, right? It's not the Harbor
This one?
OSS packages, right? Yeah.
We're currently looking into that. How much of Harbor can we take over? But I think when we proxy the registry and creating a new, like a tiny layer, what we need to have is really a tiny layer that has permissions, that implements permissions per namespace. This is something that it's typical in the Kubernetes cluster. So you have namespaces, and you want to assign permissions per namespace. This is, I think, the typical concept that we would like to implement. And so you don't have a really complex permission set. There is no users. You just say what pull secrets you want to inject in which namespace. So the authorization and authentication concepts here are much simpler. There is no option to push images to satellite core. So I think pushing images. Yeah, is out of scope. Yeah, and that's why I'm not sure if we can or how much we can take over from Harbor. But my goal is not to fork Harbor core and take everything out or something, but to see that we can kind of more cherry pick functionality that are well designed in Harbor that we can take over.
Yeah. Okay.
Because having a full-fledged Harbor core running as a satellite, we need to extend Harbor core and modify it so that it can run into use cases. It may be working, it may be not, but I would not start doing this immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, what else is out of scope? Yeah, please continue with questions, and I can add them. What's in scope, what's out of scope. That helps clarify the picture based on your question.
I have a really quick question. What's the idea if you go back to the previous slide?
You mean the use cases?
The overview, please. The overview picture.
This one?
Yeah. So you have an admission controller that somehow has to edit different pods. I've worked on admission controllers quite a bit, and it can be very complex. For this admission controller, if you want to basically modify pods, my question would be, do you also plan to then modify deployments, daemon sets, jobs, and so on? Because those spawn essentially the pods.
Exactly. So you need to modify them because they kind of rain down as pod specs then.
Yeah,
That's
so
why I'm just writing pod specs here, and everything that creates pods will need to be modified.
okay. The problem then becomes that you need to be quite careful on how you set up the admission controller so it's not blocking. And what happens if the admission controller does not work? Because the problem I see is if the admission controller stops working, there's two possible ways. Either you set it up in a blocking way and then no admission happens at all, or you set it up in a non-blocking way and you get pods which have a potentially invalid registry set up.
In both ways, you will not have images running.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good input. Blocking, non-blocking. Yeah. So I think it can be an option. All right. Any other questions, feedback? What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah, last question. Sorry, Vadim. You mentioned that you want deliver it in Harbor 2.8 or 2.9 or post 2.9. So do you mean that you want to add some code into Harbor core? I mean the ground control part per your conspect. Yes, for the ground control part in the cloud side. Yeah. So do you want to contribute some code in the upstream Harbor?
Yes.
Okay. So okay. If so, we should have a proposal for this to explain more details and then we can discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on top of the proposal. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Then that's it from my side. So if you have feedback and questions to this, you can just ping me on my email address. I'll just put it here. My email, ping me, and then we can discuss and maybe I can help you clarify a few questions. And if you would like to contribute conceptually and on use case basis, I'm also happy to gather feedback. The next step will then be to make it an official community proposal as in documentation form. Okay, that's it from my side.
Thank you, Vadim. Okay. We have 3 minutes left. It's not a rush, but anyone else? Any topics wants to share, discuss? No. Okay.
Did you see the video from Victor? He made a really nice video about Harbor. So if you didn't see it, you should. Someone posted it in Slack channel the other day, I think yesterday. It's a really nice one. Managing container images with Helm, CNCF, and other artifacts with Harbor. It's a really nice video. It's really well. Very puts a night light on Harbor and good representation.
Jess, is that the message from Jess?
Yes, Jess, yeah, exactly. So Jess.
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah, so I'm just I watched it. It's really nice.
Okay. So we can. Okay.
Yeah. Other topic regarding CNCF and
Oh,
maintenance track.
yeah. Thank you for reminding me this one. Yeah, we have we received finally the mail for submitting the maintenance track. So we have end date was that 27th of January or something. So we have plenty of time to do that, but I am really keen on doing it in person this time, all together with the kiosk, like we did last time in Valencia, which was great, I think. So yeah, I'll ask everyone who wants to participate in this effort, like the kiosk. For those of you who doesn't know what the kiosk is like a dedicated area during KubeCon, and we will have a booth there. And practically whoever wants to be there, and we'll be talking with the crowd there about the harbor project. So the conversation varies from technical to community to how to get involved, everything, pretty much everything harbor. So if you want to join this effort, please drop me a line so we know how many folks we will have there. It's not a strict thing, but we have it. What is that with him? Like a 3 days or 2 days, and for a few hours a day.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of time to visit any other things if you want to see, especially if we are more than 2 or 3 people. And the other thing is for the maintenance track.
We should
It's-
also do it in person. I would suggest it would,
Yeah.
it's nice, to see each other and then
Yeah.
have it in person. There are more people attending if we do it in person.
And that KubeCon that is going to happen in Amsterdam, it will be the biggest in Europe so far. We have twice as more CFPs for that KubeCon. So CNCF expects at least 50% more people visiting, and Amsterdam is super more communicative city than anything else in Europe, pretty much as of now. So there will be people flying over. So I think we definitely must do the maintenance track in person, so we can have more attention from the crowd. So if you want to be part of this one, drop me a line and we can start working on the proposal. Yeah, I'll send a link to some shared documents so where we can put everything that we want to share on stage. We'll have like a 45 minutes to do that. Yeah. Thanks for this one. I don't know how I forgot this one. That was super important because I pasted it in the chat and yeah. Okay.
All right.
I'll
Thank
wait you to contact me about this stuff. If you feel like it, I'll add them into the meeting minutes. So not to forget for next time to discuss it once again. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the day or the evening, wherever you are. And talk to you in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, and then I suppose the next one after 2 weeks, it will be somewhere around Christmas. So we'll be skipping this one. So yeah, 28th of December. I think we'll be skipping this one as most of the folks will be offline. But next one is 14th. So see you there.
All right, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Have a nice
Bye.
afternoon,
For
evening,
waving,
morning.
but you
Bye.
can
Bye-bye.
see me. Bye.
Bye.